Hello everyone, welcome to DevOps Sorry family. My name is Rajeshwar. Today the topic is all about how we can deploy AWS resources using Terraform. So in there are two videos that I have explained about the AWS prerequisites and the Terraform prerequisites. So in this video we will have the real deployment. We will going to deploy the AWS resources that VPC, subnets, EC2 and security group in my AWS account using Terraform. So before we deploy the AWS resources, I just want you to walk through some of the steps that is involved in Terraform. So if you see, these are the bunch of commands that we need to aware of while we have the Terraform to deploy our resources. So the first command is Terraform init. What this command will do, if you run this Terraform init, this will initiate or it will go and make a API call to download the plugin which is required to deploy our AWS resources. So how it will getting interacted with API using our access key and secret key that we have configured in our terminal. If you remember, in our readme.md we have configured the AWS configure command, and then we need to input the AWS access key and secret key and the region and the output of the file. So by using this credential, it will go and talk to the API, AWS API using API calls, and it will interact with the cloud provider. In our case, that will be AWS. Okay, and Terraform plan, this will, it's kind of a dry run. It will give you a summary what is going to deploy in our AWS resources in our cloud provider, and validate. This validate command will validate our syntax, ensure to have all the validation is successful. And Terraform FMT, this will just format our code to have the very all the code is aligned properly. And finally there will be a Terraform apply. So if we run the Terraform apply, it will ask you for the confirmation before it deploy, and we will also include -- auto approve to have this auto approval stage without having that prompt. And finally this is the Terraform destroy command that will use to destroy our infrastructure which we created in our AWS resources. Okay, let us go with the flow. And if I go here, okay, first I'm just running a new terminal. The terminal, I'm interested to use git bash. Okay, so I've just run this one, Terraform init, and also there will be a to make our life easier. I don't want to go and run on my daily basis to run Terraform init, Terraform plan and Terraform validate and FMT commands. So I have a shell script that will run all this task instead of me. I have to just run plan.sh if I want to plan, or if I want to apply, there will be a shell script that will have the color coding of each stage that I have just input the color, a different color coding for the different stage. If you see Terraform init, Terraform FMT and Terraform plan and Terraform validate, and this shell script will again generate a plan that is called Terraform plan, and it will have this output in a Terraform plan.out file. Then using this Terraform show will be just having this output to render into terraform.json. Okay, then I will have a website. I will just paste this JSON file into that website so that we will get idea what we are going to really deploy in our AWS cloud. Okay, then once we are Okay with that one, we will just go and deploy the resources. Now I will manually run this Terraform in it. So here I am not using any backend. What is mean by backend? The thing is Terraform will store all the resources which is deployed in our AWS cloud, that is called the Terraform backend. All the resources that will be stored in the Terraform backend. So we are using local storage for now, but I do have upcoming videos in that I'll be using S3 as my Terraform backend to store our state file, so that we will not rely on our local storage, and it will be helpful to collaborate better in case of we are interacting with as a part of a DevOps team. Okay, so now I will run Terraform in it. This will, as a result, it will create a .terraform directory. In that, it will download the required plugin. Okay, you see, I'm just running this Terraform in it. It will go and get the desired plugins in the .terraform. You see, these are the models we are going to deploy: VPC and EC2 instance, and one more thing, security group that I have just created, not using module, but again this is a I am going to deploy that as a resources. Okay, so as a result, if you see, it has downloaded all the necessary plugin, and it also created .terraform.log.hcl. This will have the Terraform all the version what we have input in our main.tf. For example, so in the registry.terraform.io, this module we are using 5.100 and version constraints also, right? So if you see this one 5.1.0, so all this information will be saved in this log.terraform.log.hcl file. Okay, fine. So now instead of I go and run this Terraform like all the details manually, all the command, execute the command manually, let us leverage the automation. Like for example, I'll be just using sh plan.sh. So this will run the Terraform plan command that will give us the overview what we are going to deploy in my AWS account. That is, in a summarized form, it will give us the expected resources what is going to deploy in our AWS account. So if you see, plan 13 resource to add. Okay, what are the resources? We go and walk you through all the resources a better way. If you see, so this is going to create a security group. Okay, and also it will allow my public IP using that function, chop function, that I will show, and it will create a EC2 instance, and also it will create VPC and the subnet. If you see, this is the VPC name, and it will allow the traffic of the ingress of my IP. If you see, this is the one, and it will going to create a route table and associate that route table into the VPC, and it is using a default like a security group from the module, but we are going to create this using our resource block, and this will create an internet gateway, and also this internet gateway will get attached to the VPC which we are going to create. Then it will create two subnet and route table association, and also it will use our AMA ID and the key name which we specified in our code. Okay, so after that I'm just going to run this apply command so that the expected output of this one is to, it will ask for the approval. So if you see, this is the stage Terraform init. It is because in this one I have included all the stage which we gone through manually. So first it will run Terraform init followed by all the commands, and it is just validating the Terraform commands. That means it's validating the syntax of all the commands, all the input. Then it's asking us to, it has saved the plan to tfplan.out. Okay, now it is prompting us to go ahead whether we are interested to deploy these resources or not, and I'll just type y. That means go ahead with the yes, and it's going to apply the Terraform plan. That as a result, it is going to create all the expected VPC, subnet, route table, route association, internet gateway, EC2 instance in our AWS cloud, and we will be testing that by using the mobile extra application by connecting the EC2 instance. So these are the progress. It's creating all the record resources in my AWS account, and this is the JSON output. Okay, so there is a website that you can able to render all the, I think by the way the apply is completed, that means all the resources created successfully. And before we go there will be a Terraform visual that will give us a visualization what we are going to create. So just open and input that Terraform. You see, this is the Terraform plan, right? Yeah, you see, this is the beauty of the visualization what we are going to deploy in our AWS resources. If you see, there is a security group, and there is a module called EC2 instance, and there is a SSH ingress and default network ID and net route table and security group and internet gateway. This is the VPC, and there will be a subnet. So these are the resources it was created or deployed in our AWS account. Okay, now I'll be connecting. Let me go to my AWS and let me just refresh this one. Oh, yeah, you see, previously there was 0 instance. Now if you see, there was 1 instance. The instance name is DevOps for you EC2. And also if I go to the VPC, there will be a VPC called DevOps for you VPC, and there will be a 2 subnet also. If you see, in Singapore region, if I just click this one, there will be a 1 VPC, DevOps for you VPC, and if I go to the subnet, there will be a 2 subnet that we mentioned in our code, and there is a route table, DevOps for you route table, and there is a 2 uh, subnet that is associated with this route table. Okay, and there will be an internet gateway. This is for the traffic which needs to be routed to our internal traffic to the route. Okay, so route table, before the route table there will be a routes, inside the route there will be a if any traffic come, that will be go to the internet gateway that was associated with our VPC. Okay, if I just click this one, if you see, this was the VPC ID. So this is the flow. And now I am interested to connect to my EC2 instance. I will just take this public API. Before that, if I go to the security, and if I see there is a security group called allow SSH, if you see, this will have the ingress, that is the incoming traffic allowed only for my public IP. Yeah? If you see SSH traffic, this is my public IP. So only from my IP I can able to connect this EC2 instance. So now the fun part is how we can able to connect this using the, I have a software called Mobile Strong. Where is that? Yeah. So if I run this one, so using this we can able to connect my EC2 instance. This is the IP, and for this one there is a default username EC2 user. For the Ubuntu you can use Ubuntu, and if I go to the advanced security, it will ask for the private key which we created in our first video. So I'll be using this key, and if I click OK, yeah, you see this is the private key. Using this private key, and there is a public key in the EC2 instance, so it will authenticate using this private key, using that public key, then we can able to connect this instance. Yeah, so what I will disconnect, and I will delete session. Okay, search my IP specific name 32 hyphen user advanced private key. Okay, maybe what I will do, this is something different key which I'm using. So I thought of using my own key. Oh, maybe there is a issue in the key that I need to validate here. So here, what is the key I'm using? EFU 2025, right? So what is the issue here? Maybe instance, and let me try to telnet. So telnet is opening, that means the traffic is allowed. Maybe this is using, okay, so I'm thinking there is something related to the advance. Okay, if you key, no supported authentication method available for the server, public key. So this confirm that there is something issue related to the key. So never give up. Go here. Okay, before that I just want to see what is the key associated with this one. Okay, go and see key name EFU 2025. Okay, and the instance is okay. We go here, run this one. Let me try to connect this using instance command. Sorry, I think that's some issue. Let me check whether what is the state of this screenshot. Okay, that means this is waiting for the login. That is something related to the key. Okay, so what I will do, I will just try this one quickly. Search. This will destroy everything now. And in meanwhile, let me try to create a new key in the AWS console, and let's see. Key. Okay, key pass the key pair 27. Okay, so get a key pair. This will have this one. Okay, so now what I will do, I will go and take this key. I will update this key in my, let it complete. And also I just want to have the AMI. AMI is okay because this is the launch instance, and if I go to Linux and the AMA ID, what I'm seeing here is ending with 0293. I just want to ensure that. Oh, maybe this is the problem. If you see this one, AMA for this one is 02. Maybe I will check for Ubuntu. So Ubuntu, the AMA is okay, 58, right? Yeah, I got it. So the thing is, the user ID which we created, it should be not the EC2 instance, it should be Ubuntu. That is the reason. So now let me, I will not do any changes now. I will just apply with the same setting, and let's see. This time I'll be using the username as Ubuntu, because here if you see the AMA which I specified here is AMA02 ending with F58. So that belongs to Ubuntu user ID, not the Amazon Linux. So yeah, so I'll be just waiting for this to be complete. Okay, so this time I'm hoping this will create all the necessary resources and we can able to connect the instance using mobile extra. Let's see. C2, still this is running. This is the old one. No, this is the new one. So yeah, it's created this one. So this time the IP. Okay, let me try to telnet that one first. So using this telnet, I'm just confirming that this instance is reachable over port 22. That means our IP from the firewall ingress traffic, it's allowed. Now I'm going to this one and the IP. So specify the username 12 and private key. I'll be using the same key. So yeah, yes. So now we have successfully connected our EC2 instance, which we deployed using Terraform. So yeah, bravo. Okay guys, so now if you see, let me validate this one. This is Ubuntu and we can able to successfully connect the EC2 instance using mobile extra. So the only confusion that previously we are not able to connect the instance, nothing but I have used the AMA ID here in the code. It was Ubuntu AMA ID, but I was trying with the username EC2 instance. That was the thing. Yeah, thank you so much.